Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I've taken something from your Legends presentation that you did back in September, and I've really started to build that in with our students, and I use it for myself too. And that's the reason I like to do workshops, and that's building my own like stress management toolbox. Um, and I really love that metaphor for stress management and just dealing with any sort of changes in your life because they always look different, right? So what we're all dealing with right now is so different than anything we've dealt with before. It looks completely different. Our lives and our relationships are all changed in ways because of this. So I've been really focusing on building like a toolkit of strategies that I can go back to depending on what comes up. And it's really I focus on building three types of strategies for myself. The first one is awareness, so like tuning in to like how do I know when I'm feeling stressed or if I need to do something to help myself. The second one is like putting something into action, doing something for myself to help decrease my stress or relieve however I'm feeling at that time. And the last one is like maintenance. So checking in with myself after the fact. Did that thing actually help me? Is the situation actually better for what I did, or maybe I should try something different, or should I be building this in more frequently? Is this like something I should be making into my routine? So really focusing on those things. I've been trying to use a lot of mindfulness and just kind of sitting with myself. And it's, as I'm saying that, I'm like sitting in this chair that I sit in all day, looking at the computer. I look at all day as I'm meeting with students and doing meetings with people at the college. So when I say sitting, I guess I mean more just like taking a moment to not be tuned into my computer or my phone or even what's going on outside. I'm sure people heard the car that beeped as they're driving by, and just trying to focus on what's really going on for me. I try to use like I try to do a body scan, do some deep breathing, close my eyes, notice just where in my body I'm feeling that pressure, that tightness, and that's usually how I kind of gauge where I'm at. And if I can recognize, okay, I'm feeling tight in my shoulders or in my forehead, or my thoughts are racing or moving faster than they usually do, or if I'm more critical in my thoughts, if I'm more critical of myself, more critical of others, it's usually a pretty good sign for me that I'm feeling overwhelmed.
That's a great point too, because it's funny how you say critical too. That's when I didn't even notice that until you said that. When I'm starting to become critical of myself or others, I'm completely overwhelmed. And then I'm like, oh my God, I have to take a step back. And I hate that because it's like, it's almost like it's very hard because, we'll hide it, right? Like, I guess I'm very good at hiding how I feel sometimes, but then I'll start noticing, I was like, John, you need to take a step back here, man. You got to relax. You got to slow yourself down because you're not yourself when you're like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's so powerful too is you do it in three different ways, right? And you find different techniques for almost each way that you're feeling. And what I've been doing a little bit too, and I think it's for me, it's been a bit of a struggle, is I've actually been trying to sit with myself. And I was doing it really well 2 weeks ago, but then for some reason this week I was just went back to my old habits and I was going go 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 again, and that doesn't do anything for me because last night I finally sat with myself for maybe a half hour before I went to bed, and all of a sudden I had 500 different thoughts of what I need to do and what I have to, and I was like, all right, John, you could have just relaxed, sat with yourself for a little bit before instead of doing 800 things to maybe cover up what you're thinking,
Yep.
and sit with yourself. And I think also, that's such a great technique that you're using. Like for you, how have you seen that help yourself, especially recently?
Well, I think what's been most helpful for me and most effective for me with it is using that awareness strategy to say, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, but then actually saying, okay, what am I going to do about this? Because it's kind of like if you have a leaky pipe, right, and you become aware that this pipe is leaking, but then you're like, I'll get to it later. Or, within that metaphor, if I notice my thoughts are racing, but I take out my phone and I start scrolling through Twitter or going on Facebook or playing a game on my phone to just distract myself, I'm not actually doing anything for myself other than kind of buying myself a little bit of time and space. And that can be a valuable tool too. Distraction can be a really helpful way to just get your mind off of things that are hard, but it doesn't necessarily change anything in the long run. So then for me, it's about what can I control in this moment? Because so much of, I think, what's been affecting me recently, I think I've noticed with students as well, is feeling a loss of control over our lives. So many of the things that we would normally do, even just going outside, connecting with friends and family, it's different. And uh, students and us, everybody has lost so much with the social distancing, having to stay isolated to so the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I try to focus on I can't do anything about the fact that the pandemic is still rampant and we need to be taking these precautions. But what I can do is I can focus on what I do in the next 10 minutes. So chunking, I call it, focusing on what you can do in the next 10 minutes for yourself, or what can I do in the next hour. And if that thought persists, that's really causing me anxiety or causing me stress, and I can't do anything about it right then, I try to come up with a plan of what I can do in the future, and try to even make like a very like structured timeline for myself, so that if that thought does persist, I can kind of soothe it for myself, saying, all right, I can't do anything now, but I'm going to do something when that time comes, and let's focus on this thing. Let's go write, let's go read something, let's go talk with a friend. But knowing that I have a plan in the future, even though I can't do anything about it now, can be relieving for me.
And I